Hey guys, welcome back to another video. I'm currently walking on the beach, if you can't tell, and it is very cold but very sunny, so I'm happy. And yeah, I'm on the Jersey Shore right now, and it's always funny here in the winter because it's so dead and quiet, whereas obviously in the summer it's like so loud and there's tons of people and you have the rides going, the roller coasters. And yeah, it's really different in the winter, but it's kind of nice. It's nice and still, and you still have the ocean here, of course, so I love to take walks here. And yeah, I just wanted to make a little video because I'm feeling inspired to just share something that is a lesson for myself that I think is really powerful to understand. And I just want to share it in case it resonates with any of you. So as you might know, I think I mentioned in one of my other videos that I currently live in France. I moved there a few months ago, and yeah, it's interesting. I've lived abroad in the past, and it's always a weird feeling coming back home. You might have experienced this before, but sometimes it feels like a reverse culture shock, especially once, I mean, France isn't that drastically different from the US, but especially living in places that are culturally very different from the US, it can be quite like a reverse culture shock coming back home where I'm like, whoa, I need to like reorient myself. And yeah, it can be like emotionally a lot sometimes. And something I noticed when I flew in last week is I realized I was in a really negative mindset. Like, I was experiencing my arrival back in the US and back in my city as like a pretty negative thing. I was judging everything around me. Like, even on the flight, I was on an American airline, and just the whole experience of like the food that we were served on the plane, I was just judging it. I was like, this food is so unhealthy. It's full of chemicals. I care a lot about healthy food, and it always like makes me really angry seeing the ingredients that we allow in our country compared to other countries. Like, Europe bans so many ingredients and chemicals that we just allow. And I was like looking at the ingredients in the packaging of what they served us on the plane, like this cake, and it was all chemicals. There was no real food ingredients in the packaging. And then after that meal, they came around with a snack of ice cream. Like, we already had a meal and dessert, and then the snack they gave us a couple hours later were just like little cups of ice cream. And I was just sitting there like, what is this? Like, welcome back to America. It's so unhealthy, and this is why so many people are sick with chronic illness. And yeah, I was getting really negative. And then I and then I landed in the airport of my city, and like, people were just talking to each other. They were like yelling across the airport at each other, and the people on the plane were yelling at each other to like get off quicker. Like, when people were unloading the plane, they were like, hurry up, like move faster. And the whole experience is like, so like, you wouldn't experience that in France, at least. And I think that's why in my head I was being so judgy about it, because I was like, this is America, like people talk like this to each other, and it's so negative, and like bad food, and like all this stuff was like in my head. So yeah, I just had like a really negative negative mindset about it. And then it's funny because walking here on the boardwalk right now, like, I'm passing all of these shops. I don't know if you can see them, they're kind of far, but all of the shops that sell like funnel cakes and fried Oreos and fried Twinkies and corn dogs and ice cream and all that stuff. That's something else I judge. Like, in the summer, when I see people like walking around eating the food, and I get really negative about it. And that's like something that I've realized is like, it's not necessarily a good thing, like to just have this perspective that, I mean, I don't want to say it's not a good thing, but I'm just realizing that your thoughts are powerful, and the way you see things has an effect on those things. And there is no thought that is neutral. And the thoughts that I've been having about certain things, like in the city that I grew up in, and the food and all of that, and the people, like, having those negative thoughts and focusing on the negatives that I'm seeing, that's only going to bring a negative energy to the situation. And thoughts have energy, and it actually has an impact when you're experiencing something and projecting negative thoughts onto it. And I was talking to a friend about this who reminded me that, like, it's all in your perspective. Like, the food that I was looking at, like the cake on the airplane that had all those chemicals in it, my friend was like, yes, you can say that scientifically from research and stuff, people like label it as bad because of XYZ, but you can also look at it and say that's a piece of the universe. Like, the universe is in everything, and everything is energy, and there's nothing that isn't love. There isn't anything on this planet that is not love. It's like the universe is in everything. It's not possible for there to be something on this earth that isn't a piece of God, because God is in everything and God is everything. So even that cake that I'm looking at, that I'm saying, oh, it has this ingredient and this chemical in it, that's still a piece of the universe. And I can look at that and change my thoughts about it and say, this is just the universe. This is just a form. This is just like a piece of nourishment. And I don't necessarily have to choose to eat it if I don't want to, but something that I think is more effective, instead of, like, have you ever heard that quote that's like, instead of focusing on fighting the old, focus on rebuilding the new? And this is something that I'm trying to keep in mind, because when I look at things like the food system in our country, a lot of times I'm thinking, well, how can we change this? Like, how is it possible to change this? And I look at all of the people working to fight corporations who are putting chemicals in our food and all that. And that's one way to do it. But I think another way to do it is to focus on the positive, like put the energy where you feel positive energy. And what could that look like? Like, it could look like putting energy on things that I consider like live, vibrant foods, like fruits and vegetables and things like that. And last year I actually started my own juice business where I was making like raw fruit and vegetable juices and selling them to people, or just making them for friends, just like handing them out. And I loved doing that. It felt so like positive, and people loved receiving them and sharing them with people and bringing them to Christmas parties and things like that. And it was just a really positive experience. And I think if I were to put more energy on things like that, that's like a positive way to change things, that will have more impact than just wallowing in how angry I feel at the system and the people that allow things to be the way they are and all of that. So yeah, this was a very specific example, but the overall message I wanted to share here is, I'll sum it up in another quote. I love quotes, if you can't tell. It's actually the quote that's in my About Me page on my YouTube, and that is that when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. And this is so true. So perhaps this is a good reminder around the holidays when you're spending time with family, and it's not easy doing that. It's, you know, it's difficult to spend time with people who you grew up with, or a lot of people have histories that make it difficult to be together during the holidays and things like that. But if you can just change the way you see it, instead of seeing it the way you usually see it, try to see it from a place of love and gratitude, and try to see like the beauty in it and the God in it, the God in everything, because God is in everything. So yeah, this was kind of a reminder that I needed, and I hope that some of it resonated for you. If it did, let me know in the comments below what your thoughts are about all of this. And yeah, I would love to hear from you guys. I hope that you're all having a beautiful day, just like this one. Beautiful and sunny. Maybe you're a little warmer, but I don't even mind the cold because it's so sunny out and the sunshine is just so perfect. So yeah, that's all for this little video, and I'm looking forward to seeing you guys in the next one. Bye.